Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the relatively common normal-type Pokemon Zigzagoon, the Tiny Raccoon Pokémon, and its relatively uncommon evolution Linoone, the Rushing Pokémon. While their movements might make them look more comical than threatening, the members of the Zigzagoon family are still useful creatures that can help trainers struggling for items find some supplies every once in a while as they strike back against those that stand before them. Zigzagoon possess extremely thick fur that is patterned with dark brown and light brown stripes along their entire form, tail included, with a sharp, bristly form that makes the stripes look like zigzags even though they are straight. They walk on 4 brown legs with 3 sharp claws on each foot, and their ears are just as sharp and bristly as the rest of their form. Even their mouth fur has a zigzag form to it, and along with a small black nose, they have large brown eyes with a black stripe that streaks across their face and surrounds both of their eyes. Their evolved form, Linoone, have a much sleeker, streamlined form with light brown fur across their body and dark brown streaks covering their sides and one that extends up to their forehead in the shape of an arrow. Their legs have devolved slightly as they only have 2 claws per foot, but their legs are much longer and sleeker, and their claws are also much longer and incredibly sharp. They have small tufts of light brown fur covering their small ears, and their mouth fur is straight in form, their face being adorned with a straight black nose and large blue eyes. The members of the Zigzagoon family are generally among the more common Pokemon that can be found in their native regions, and while they are both solid Pokemon, it is important to note that there is much that these creatures do not have in common that helps to set them apart, both in terms of personality and combat capabilities. For one thing, Zigzagoon are known to be incredibly curious creatures that will wander around their habitats restlessly, rubbing their nose against the ground and both sniffing around in grass and digging within their immediate area at all times in order to see if there is anything of use to them or those that they know, becoming interested in anything they see as they always look to learn more about and root out the most valuable of items they can possibly locate. This can make them great Pokemon for novice trainers to get access to, as it can mean that they can potentially help them find useful items for no cost whatsoever. In terms of what they can do in battle, these creatures are fairly simple animals that rely on basic normal type attacks to deal the most damage in battle, but they do have a unique secret in their bristly hair. While it might ordinarily be quite soft to the touch, the hair of these creatures can actually be stiffened to a sharp point via neural trigger and then fired using a rapid contraction of the muscles beneath their hairs, allowing these creatures to utilize a variant of the pin missile attack in battle. Zigzagoon further use this feature to help them mark out their territory, using the sharp bristles to scrape off tree bark to mark their unique territorial area. Aside from this though, these creatures are limited offensively, but their curiosity can still make them quite useful with attacks like Covet on their side. Their evolved form, Linoone, on the other hand, are much less curious and instead follow the same basic pattern seen in many predatory mammals, with them using their deceptive agility to catch up to prey items from afar before using their sharp claws to deal powerful slashing blows in close quarters. Not even water-dwelling creatures are safe, as these beasts will gladly leap into ponds and use their long, sharp claws to skewer fish prey and bring them to the surface for a meal. Because their hair is incredibly smooth and streamlined, and their temperament a bit more vicious and directed, these creatures lose the ability to learn the baby doll eyes, pin missile, flail, and takedown moves, having the latter 3 replaced with their fury swipes, slash, and double-edge attacks, respectively, and additionally getting access to the play rough, rototiller, and switcheroo moves. As far as their abilities go, however, these creatures are very much alike, as their innate curiosity and surprising appetites grant them access to the pickup and gluttony abilities as base abilities, making Linoone one of the few evolved Pokemon that can still retain access to the pickup ability after evolving, while those that are particularly quick on their feet can get access to Quick Feet as a hidden ability. In terms of stats, in looking at Linoone, while they might be able to utilize some fairly powerful attacks later in life, these creatures underperform in almost every major stat as a result of their fairly simple body form and limited natural combat capabilities. the only base stat of theirs that is above average for a fully evolved normal-type Pokemon is their base speed stat. But this suits these creatures just fine, as it ensures that they can execute their attacks in rapid succession against many types of opponents, helping them to deliver a few decent blows before their otherwise below-average defenses result in them being knocked out. Zigzagoon are often adored by trainers for their cute appearances and feisty nature, but what really helps to set these creatures apart from other young normal-type Pokemon is the unusual way in which they move about. The curiosity that they are noted for is the direct byproduct of a genetic defect in their brain and inner ear structure. But what is a much more telling symptom of all this is the fact that these creatures are effectively incapable of moving in a straight line. Instead, in order to maintain equilibrium in their bodies and walk effectively, these creatures must bob their bodies back and forth strongly, moving around in a zigzagging fashion when moving a distance of more than a few feet at a time. On the one hand, this can make foraging for berries and roots, as well as some small animals, difficult for these creatures as they cannot easily travel from point A to point B as they would freely like to, and can in turn make it difficult for trainers to properly coordinate their actions and attacks in a battle, even if in the wild their tracks are easy to distinguish from others because of this motion. However, this does come with a strategic benefit, as their constantly changing motions can make them surprisingly difficult to hit from afar, allowing them to duck and weave through many long-distance attacks to strike in close quarters where their best attacks can be put to good use. As a whole, these odd raccoon relatives can be a bit awkward to handle at first, but they can still make good use of their sturdy bodies to deliver attacks and thus work well as partners for novice trainers. Plus, their penchant for playing dead to fool predators can help them deliver a surprise attack in battle before their opposition can properly react. Linoone act as the effective opposite of Zigzagoon in the way that they move about, which can be both a benefit and a further detriment to them, though for different reasons. When these creatures evolve, the genetic defect that resulted in their awkward zigzagging movement is completely fixed, but it is replaced with a reinforced inner ear structure and a far more rigid motion tracking ability that forces these creatures to only be able to perceive their environment in straight lines, their eyes unable to turn in conjunction with their heads to look from side to side. While Linoone are able to run up to 60 miles per hour as a consequence of their sleek but powerful leg muscles and streamlined form, if they have to make a turn, due to their altered perception, they have to stop completely in their tracks and make a 90-degree turn before they can resume their motion. This can make it very difficult for these creatures to chase prey over long distances, as even gently curving roads can completely halt their momentum and prevent them from keeping up with slower prey despite their speed advantage. As such, these creatures are generally best suited against opponents that are lacking in the way of agility and precise movements, as these speedy beasts can easily have a hard time if they have to bob and weave around a target in order to get to their most vulnerable body parts. Though their biological quirks can sometimes make them a handful to deal with, the members of the Zigzagoon family are still fun creatures to work with and can definitely prove to be amusing in their abnormal movement patterns. They might lack the offensive and defensive might needed to make a serious impact in battle in most cases, but they can still prove to be tricky creatures to handle if they can't be properly targeted as they move about at high speed. If you're looking to make item hunting partners out of these creatures for the sake of saving some cash, however, you likely won't be disappointed with the potentially rare items these creatures can find or dig up. Just make sure that you keep them on a tight leash, for if they spot something in the distance that piques their interest, especially in the case of Linoone, you might have to hope for some sort of curved path to show up if you want to stand a ghost of a chance of being able to keep up with them. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
Yep, no.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.